Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brian Quinn, and today we're going to be talking about digital transformation and how it impacts businesses in today's technology age. From an agenda perspective, there's three main categories we're going to review. First is an overview of digital transformation. Next is what prevents digital transformation from taking form in most companies today. And then along the journey of implementing a digital transformation strategy, where to get started in your company. So by definition, digital transformation is the realignment of or new investment in technology, business models, and processes to drive new value for customers and employees to effectively compete in an ever-changing digital economy. According to the MIT Center for Digital Business, only 1 out of 3 companies globally have an effective digital transformation program in place, which is pretty remarkable considering the growth of the internet and technology over the past 20 years. For only a third of companies to really have a formal digital program in place. And because of that, what's really happening is what's now known as digital Darwinism. Businesses everywhere are being impacted by this, and it's really the inverse of digital transformation. For example, only 71 companies remain from the original 1955 Fortune 500 list, which is pretty ironic when you consider the fact that the Fortune 500 are supposed to be the strongest, most healthy companies in the entire world. So let's talk about a couple industries we're all familiar with that's been impacted by digital Darwinism. First, mobile devices. Between 2004 and 2012, the market capitalization for Nokia and Motorola shrank by over 90%. Meanwhile, which is really 90%, which equates to about an $84 billion loss. Meanwhile, Apple and Samsung gained more than $600 billion in value during the same time frame. Next is the movie rental business. From our case study, we're all very familiar with this. Between 2006 and 2012, Blockbuster's value dropped from about $5.5 billion to next to nothing, while Netflix grew more than 360% during the same time frame. And then lastly, book retail. Between 2000 and 2012, Barnes & Noble lost about half its market value, while Borders' value collapsed to nothing. Amazon's market cap grew more than 20 times during the same period. So this is really the key to an effective digital transformation strategy. We as leaders need to recognize that an investment in technology for technology's sake really won't prepare us for the future. The intent here is to invest in technology for the purpose of improving the customer experience, the employee experience, or ultimately both. And this is what will help us compete in an ever-changing economy. The reason why this is necessary is because there's a new standard that's being set out there. Due to the pervasiveness of technology, anytime a company is able to deliver a new, great customer experience, that becomes the instant standard for which all customers expect and companies now need to operate. So for example, we have Apple, we have Google, and then we have probably what our own company's apps look like, or websites, or interfaces, or employee portals. Apple and Google, their products and interface are extremely simple and easy to use. Customers now expect this every time, whenever they use anything different. Amazon Go. Amazon's piloting grocery stores where customers don't even have to wait in line. You walk into the store, grab what you want. Facial recognition technology bills what you selected to your account, and then you walk out and you're on to the next thing. So when you think about it, this is now competition to any business that has customers waiting in lines. The impact, is tremendous. Here's one. These guys are called WeFuel. Now you don't even have to go find a gas station. They come to you. How convenient is that? And pretty soon we'll even be having groceries delivered to our homes and by books in bookstores. Now this is really interesting because the key here is it's not just about technology like we talked about earlier. It's about using technology to improve the customer experience. So the technology is really a means, and I think that's where most companies are getting lost, is they invest in technology and expect to have the return without really understanding the purpose and the end goal. So let's look at this picture here on the left. For example, there's no longer just milk delivery, but we have grocery delivery service like Peapod. You can now have your whole grocery list delivered to you when you want it, with multiple options. With Amazon Books, you now have an online retailer that put big box bookstores like Borders completely out of business, and now they're opening up their own storefront. And the reason why that makes sense is because through technology, they've learned how their customers buy, they understand their customers better, and they're creating new ways of engaging with them. So ultimately, we're seeing a lot of change. It's clear the change is happening, but why? Who's driving this all? Who are our new employees and customers? The answer is this generation called the millennials. Believe it or not, there are 80 million young adults born between 1974 and 2001 that are in the U.S. workforce today. Millennials will form 46% of the workforce by 2020 and 75% of the workforce by 2025. That's half of the workforce by 2020 and 3/4 of the U.S. workforce by 2025. This is why companies have to get on board with digital transformation. Their employees and customers are literally changing. And what's most important is that this group of millennials, this generation, has a different set of values for how they make decisions. For example, 1 in 3 millennials said that he or she would prioritize social media freedom, device flexibility, and work mobility over salary in accepting a job offer. That's definitely different than what our parents and grandparents would have responded with. So if digital transformation represents the future and yields competitive market advantages, it seems obvious that every company should get on board. But why aren't they? And it comes back down to change. Change is hard. 75% of business leaders cite change management as the top difficulty holding back their digital transformation strategy. How many of us have seen comics like this before? We laugh and they're funny, but they're also true for the majority of companies still out there. But make no mistake, if we as leaders continue to do the same thing we've always done, then our customers and our employees are going to find another way around us. There's going to be another company that's easier to work with, that's more flexible, and provides quicker, better service when they want it and where they want it. So what do we do first? The first step is to determine what physical process in your company can be moved to a digital format, either through document scanning or e-forms. The key is to focus on something that touches the customer routinely or would make your employees' jobs easier. For example, I just went to the doctor the other day and I still filled out a paper form while sitting in the waiting room and put my medical history and contact information on it. This would have been so much more efficient and easier to type into an e-form on an iPad, for example. Now someone doesn't have to rekey that information into a system, potentially make a mistake, and it reduces costs. One cautionary tale, don't try to boil the ocean at once. Digital transformation takes a considerable investment in IT, and it's important to show consistent progress as we not only have to show an ROI, but also fight a company's resistance to change. Having a defined focus and scope is the key to gaining momentum. So again, digital transformation starts with document capture. Find a way to either convert your paper formats and documents into a digital format or start them digital as early as possible. And why document capture? And the thing here is it's really not about the paper, it's about the content on the paper. Really, the paper is just the carrier, the content is what we're after. So that's what we need to keep in mind, is how can we capture this content digitally and have it in a more agile format. The same happened to the music industry when you look at the example below. So I'd like to provide you with some questions to consider from the presentation this afternoon. Are you starting to see signs of digital Darwinism in your industry or company? If so, where? What can you potentially do about it? Are you a consumer? As a consumer, are you subconsciously applying the new standard in your purchasing decisions? And lastly, how can you use digital transformation to become a hero in your organization? To get the word out there, to be different, to think proactively about what can be improved, and then start to have that conversation and organize around it. That is my presentation. Thank you very much for listening and look forward to your feedback.